Morning troops, another day, another Lincolnshire drain, one I've never fished before. What I was going to do today was I was going to do like a A to Z of dead baiting for pike, you know, beginner's guide. Not aimed just at the novices, people who've never been, but just general hints and tips and what I use and what I don't use and how I go about my dead baiting, how I go about blanking. You've seen the last couple, so that's what it's going to be today. I mean, I've already got a rod out. No point doing one of these videos on a bankside and not having bait in the water. But what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm asked a lot of times, especially by the local youngsters, is they want to go pike fishing but they don't have any pike rods. Can I use a carp rod? And the short answer to that is yes. You know, it's like any tool of the trade. You've got specialist rods for dead baiting or fishing from a boat. You have specialist ledge rods, twin tip rods, barbel rods. You have a whole host of different types of rods for different applications, and they're bespoke and they're tailor-made to do a specific job, and they are brilliant. But if you've never been piking before, you want to go piking, chances are you've probably been carping. Can you use a carp rod? Of course you can. For short range to medium range dead baiting for pike, you can use a carp rod, no problem. Now the rods I use at the moment are these snapper dead bait rods. They do a great job. They take loads of abuse. I use them all the time. My old Pike Masters, my Fox Pike Masters, there, I've only got one left, and you know, they are brilliant rods, but I don't think they make them anymore. So yeah, you can use a carp rod. Can you use a carp reel? Of course you can, absolutely. Look, that reel there is a Black Widow free spool reel. That'll do the job whether you're carping or whether you're piking. The only caveat I would put to that is your line. Depending on where you fish for your carp, depends on what line you're using and what breaking strain you're using. Now a lot of people use braid and it has some fantastic properties, but for me, I use mono. And the only reason I use mono is I've been using the same mono for nearly 20 years. 15 to 20 years I've been using it. I use Fox soft steel camo, and I use the 23 pound breaking strain. So if you're somewhere and you're carp fishing on a snag free venue, got no issues there at all, average stamp of the fish is doubles up to 20 at the most, and you're only using 10 to 15 pound mono on those carp reels, that's not good enough for pike. Although people would argue that a carp is a surges and has a more powerful run, and they do, but when you got a pike on, it's a whole different ball game, a whole different type of fight. They can jump out of the water, they're all over the place, tail walking. It puts a lot of strain on your mono, so you've got to beef it up. So I use 23 pound. I would say don't use anything lower than 20. If you're using braid, you want to go 40 and 50 pound, 60 pound braid. But yeah, if you want to go piking and you've got a carp rod and you've got carp reels and it's loaded with decent line, you're most of the way there. So let's go through some other bits of bobs of gear what I've got. And this is my self-take setup, my unhooking station. So what you do is you place one bank stick with your camera on. I normally have it facing away from the sun behind me, to pick up better photos. And then you place another bank stick on the opposite side. You kneel down on the opposite side and you place that bank stick right in front of you, so the top of it is the middle of your head. Then obviously you adjust the height of your camera to get it in perfect shot. And mine's on one of these ball joint adapters. This one's made by Gardner Tackle. They're really good, so you can get straight photo every time. And I find you don't want your camera too far away either. It's surprising how badly the shot comes out. You look like you're 100 miles away. So just the width of a very large unhooking mat is all you need to take perfect photos every time. And then right next to that digital camera, I set up a separate bank stick, exactly the same setup, but with a mobile phone holder. So that way you can take video as well as still photographs. Sometimes videos are better because you can take video all the time while you're holding the fish up, getting your trophy shot just right, and then you can capture or export single shots from that video. Works quite well. I use both just in case one doesn't work or one doesn't come out or the files get corrupted. I'll show you now what adapter I use for my mobile phone. There it is, just like my still camera. They're mounted on quick release joints, so just one click down and they release. So obviously look, I've already got a tripod on that, so I can move that around the bank at will. If you're packing up quickly, you can dismantle it really quick. Just one pull down on that bottom silver section, and the whole top half comes off. So they're really good. Now for me, the most important part of your pike fishing is the unhooking, and you've got to have proper unhooking tools. If you haven't got them, in my opinion, don't go. You know, that's the one thing you have to lay out some expense. Lay it out on your unhooking gear. And what I have is, I've got a pair of long nose pliers. I've got a set of wire cutters, and I also, I mean, look. Here we go, look. I've got a spare pair of long nose pliers. They've seen better days, they're a bit rusty, but they work in an emergency. If I lose something, I've got long forceps. Slightly shorter pair of forceps, and a slightly shorter pair of curved forceps. And they go with me every time I go piking. I can't reiterate, to me that's the single most important thing to do, is sort out your unhooking equipment. And they're always there. Buy my unhooking mat, buy my scales, where I can see them, where I need them. Now a lot of people wear one of these. I haven't worn this for donkey's years. An unhooking glove. Now the pike aficionados out there and the fishing snobs, they say you're not a real piker if you use a glove like that. Well, I'm not a snob. Don't think I'm better than anyone else or anything like that. You're sticking your hand in a pike, you're chinning it. It's got gill rakes, it's got sharp teeth, you've got trebles in there if you're using trebles. If you're new to piking and it makes you feel slightly more confident, then use them. I mean, there are people out there that can't afford to get their hands cut because of work or cross infection, or the whole host of reasons why you would wear a glove or wouldn't wear a glove. Me personally, I don't, only because I don't want to root around looking for it and putting it on every time I unhook a pike. Plus they get wet. I don't like anything wet on my hands. I mean, I'll sit here all day in the cold, but if you've got wet hands in the cold, that's a different story. But if you want to use one, use one. Don't be put off by snobby comments. Do you have to have specialist alarms, back bites, drop off alarms? The simple answer to that again, and the short answer is no, you don't. Now if I was fishing still water, I would probably use mine. Well no, I definitely would, but I haven't fished still waters for pike for quite a few years now. That's where I am a bit of a snob. I just want to catch them from drains and rivers. So the simple answer is you can use your carp alarms. What I would say is though, make sure when you're using them that everything's in a straight line. If the bank permits it, use single stick setups. So that way, what I mean by that is, while I'm fishing here, there's a straight line from the end of my rod to my bobbin, to my bite alarm, to the tip of my rod, to the weight that's in the water, and to the bait. It's a straight line, as resistance free as I can get it. I have very light bobbins, not always can use in windy conditions, but they're very lightweight and they work absolutely fine. So the reason I don't use them on running my, oh, what's that? The reason I don't use my drop-off alarms on rivers and drains is because they're flowing all the time. You've got an open bay alarm, you've got debris coming down, you're going to be shipping out line and getting false indications all the time. So yes, you can use your carp alarms. But just think about your setup. What you don't want is you don't want your rod sticking straight out in the water and your bait at a 90-degree angle to the tip of your rod. That's going to cause a change in resistance, which fish will notice. Landing nets. Do you need specialist landing nets? Another simple answer, no. But they are better. Now I fish with 3 rods normally, so I always have 2 landing nets set up. That is my rubberized landing net. It's a spoon shaped. I've had 20-pound pike in that, no problem. The size is deceiving, it's quite deep, but I tend to use that more for jacks and fish that are thrashing around a bit, or if I'm on a quick session. Rubberized, dries really quickly, great little net. Can you use your carp specimen net, 42 inch? Of course you can, look at the size of the thing. You can get any pike you want in there. What I would say though is I would buy a separate one for my piking. You've all seen them on eBay and all the other sites by certain, you know, I think NGT do them. There's loads of people that do them. Cheap 42 inch landing net off eBay. Quite cheap money. Get one of them. That way if a pike rips up all the mesh, it doesn't matter. On average, one of these nets I use on my piking lasts about 5 or 6 years. In the end, they still, you know, the trebles get into them, they do get ripped. But you know, they do the job and they last a long time. Well, I've showed you my leisure deadbait setup before, but for any new subscribers and viewers, it's my basic setup. You've got to bear in mind, it can change the size of the weight, but I'm fishing little drains at the moment, so quite a light weight on there. That's a leisure stem. I've removed the old one from the top and replaced it with a bright red float. And all you do is you unclip your lead, unclip that, take the swivel off, slide the old one down, put a new one on the top. The reason I do it is obviously you can see I've got a bright red bead, bright red rig sleeve. I want everything I've got in the water to stand out. I don't want the pike to be struggling to find them. So that's there. I don't know if the float's any more buoyant, but also helps to keep it off the deck and any debris away. And there's my trace, and the same again. bright red rig sleeves over my hooks, bright red bait flags, and the reason I use them is twofold. Most people will be fishing semi-barbless trebles, which means only one of them will have a barb on them, and that barb, the one, goes in the bait. So in low light or I'm in a hurry, I know exactly where that barb one is, because it's got a big red bait flag on it, red for danger. And that's basically it. You know, that's quite a big eye, so the line can run free, and it's as simple as that. That stands up in the water like that. So your bait gently lowers down onto the debris on the deck rather than getting all I mean, this time of year you're still going to get weed, but it does help. Well, as I said before going through all that gear, I hope it wasn't too boring for you. I'm on a Lincolnshire drain. Never fished here before. I was driving past, I was going to fish the Whiffin, but I looked at it and it looked nice, so I've opted for the drain rather than the river. Got 3 rods set up. Now I'll go through, show you the swim, go through it with you, and let's see if we can catch some pike. Well, here we go. I was going to do an instructional video today, all my bits and bobs. I thought, why not do it on the bank? Float fish sprat, circle hook, right in the scissors, unhooked it with my hands. You can't get easier or better than that. Lovely colours on her. Let's get her back. You may have noticed when I was showing you my rod, these bright pink rod bands. Well, they're not rod bands. I like to keep my rods made up so I can get fishing as soon as I arrive. And obviously I've got the top and tail protectors on. But these, one holds the weight in place, it doesn't bash it back against the rod and damage it. First treble's covered, second treble's covered. Now, I don't go out buying expensive rod bands. Shouldn't really say this, but your wife, your girlfriend, or your daughter wears rollers, nick them. They're brilliant, you know. Well, I mean, I don't know how much they cost nowadays. I mean, last time I bought some, I bought a big bag of them. I think I bought 50 of them for about £2, something silly like that. That was a while ago, but they, you mean, they last. They do the job, and they're a lot cheaper. As well as all the
normal paraphernalia you bring with your fishing in your rucksack or your bag, whatever you use. You know, your spare weights, spare reels, spools, line and everything. This is my little I carry 2 Pike tackle boxes. This is the first one. As you can see, I've got an assortment of floats. That's my perch float. Some dead bait pencils. Another sliding float. Some weighted bungs. Spare beads. Spare trebles. Spare quick bank stick adapter. They are really great. I love these. That bit screws into your bank stick. That bit screws into whether it be a bite, alarm, a camera, anything you want to release quickly. That goes into the top. It's just a push release. They're really great things. Spare floats. There's a spare hook laying around there. Spare rod rests for the back. Those ones are for the modern type butts. I do have a few, and they are for the cork butts. And there's all my bits and bobs that I've used and broken down from damaged traces. So if I have to tie a trace on the bank, they're there quick to hand. Yeah, I've got a load of single hook rigs that are for perch really. These ones, these are all my small perch rigs. I've got a few traces for lures. Spare rig tubing. Nothing scientific in there really. Balsa stick if you want to make a bait buoyant. Spare leisure boon. As I say, I normally take the black part off and replace it with one of these red ones. I like everything high vis. There's not a lot in there because you don't need a lot really. And this is my small tackle box. Again, I've got some spare trebles, got my trace wire. This is my rig tying box really, and useful tools. So I've got my hook sharpener, rig wire, forceps, knife, a couple of small screwdrivers come in handy. And crimps. So if I have to make a quick trace up, bosh, got all my gear to hand there, and that little one, I know where everything is. Everything I need to make a new trace is in there. This is one of my favourite bits of kit. I'd be lost without it. It's supposed to be a chair in that bag, and it can be. But in here, you can get everything, kitchen sink. In the main compartment, I carry a spare landing net, a rubberised landing net, 2 unhooking mats, and if I'm moving along the bank quick sharp, I can put my chair in there as well. In the front pocket, I've got, in that black bag, I've got a rake, 150 metres of rope, hedging shears, keep all my bank sticks already made up with the bite alarms all ready to go. Fantastic bit of kit, I tell you. My bag of choice, very small, compact rucksack. As you can see, got a couple of spare reels, got some spare line in the side pockets, 3 rig bins, all my rigs made up. along with my 2 tackle boxes. That's all you need, especially if you want to keep mobile. Don't need to bring a lot of gear if you've got all your rods already set up like I do. And then for that I just use any bog standard quiver. This is a 3 rod quiver. If I'm roving, I've got a 2 rod quiver at home. It's really small, not compact, lightweight. I mean, depends on the waters you're fishing. You know, if you're driving up to basically where you're fishing, I suppose you could just use a rod sleeve. Well, that's a rundown of my gear. And it's what I use for dead baiting. I mean, the list is endless. You can have all sorts of specialist gear. You can be cut down to your bare minimum, but dead baiting on drains and on rivers, that's all you need really, that little bit of kit. What I would add though is, again, the unhooking. If you've never been piking before, my advice is to go with someone that has. Go with a pal, go with a brother, whoever, neighbour, someone you know that's been pike fishing on a regular basis, knows how to handle the fish, can show you up close how to unhook them, how to treat them, how to hold them. If we catch another fish, I'll try and film the unhooking, but I'm not a professional filmer, you know, so is that even a word, filmer? I don't know, but so I'll try and capture it on camera for you. But if you're really unsure, say the best bet is to go with someone you know, or the other one is to fish with circle hooks, single hook set up. I'll leave a link up there, how to tie circle hook with a hair all made out of trace wire. It's really effective. I had the fish I had today on it. Another video of mine, I had a 16-pounder this season. That was on a single hook, single circle hook. So it does work, and the great thing is you hook the pike right in the scissor, right in the scissor. Every time I've had one, I've had him right in the scissor. Firm grip, firm hold, and you can just unhook them with your hand. You don't even, every single one I've been able to use my fingers, just hook out. Barbless circle hooks, single hook rig. They, you know, I'm really starting to enjoy my fishing with them. You know, they really are good. I haven't had a situation yet where I've lost a fish, or I've had a poor hook hold, or they haven't been hooked solidly. You know, because you don't need to strike with a circle hook. All you've got to do is wind down. And, you know, the hook's shaped and designed to self hook virtually. And I've got seagulls hovering over my dead baits again. Come on, clear off. Yeah, so it's not that deep here. Say 3 foot maximum. The water's nice and clear, a lot of clarity. But they've dropped the main river down, the Witham. They've dropped that down. So I was hoping that there'd be some more pike in here. Maybe later on in the year, in the new year, when the pike move out the main river, start looking for shallower waters. Now I've got a decision to make. Should I stay or should I go, as the Clash once said. Don't know yet. We'll wait and see. I don't know. I mean, I've had one fish here, wasn't it? You know, it looks fishy. I'm a sucker for a drain. It looks fishy. I don't know whether to stay or whether to push on. Have a cup of coffee and then make my mind up. The wind's dropped off now. The sun's behind the clouds. It's like a mill pond. I've only had the one fish out of here today, but I've learnt a lot, I think. Look at that. Look at the reflection in the water. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, what I've learnt about this little stretch, personally I think, is it's gin clear at the moment. So the bright sunny conditions today are a no-no. The fish I had was well before the sun came up above the far bank, so the drain was still in shade when I caught that fish. Also, I think it's going to be one of those places you want to go when it's got a bit of colour in the water, when you've had a bit of rain, or when the main river is bombing through and you get the fish coming in here for a bit of slack water, or a bit of shelter. I don't think there's many prey fish here at the moment. I haven't seen many fish topping. I haven't seen any pike thrashing about either. But as I say, at the moment it's lovely. Got that eerie feeling to it, like something's going to happen. Probably isn't. Oh, it's actually seen a fish top. So I've got one bait there, right in the centre channel, in the entrance to that sluice gate. Floating that out there, and I've got a lamprey on my left hand rod out towards the roots of that overhanging tree, not too close to it because it's really shallow in the margins, about 3-4 foot off the deepest part of the water. What a sky. Give me a pike to match, please.